Hi, my name is Kendra Folks. I am 30 years old, and I'm a mother of two kids. I have a 4-year-old and a 3-year-old, both boys. I work part-time at an early learning center. I worked for 5 years within the classroom before I decided to stay home for a little bit with my kids while they were smaller. I started out in first grade, and then I moved up with my kids actually to second grade and then to third grade. And then by then, my principal thought it was time for me to have some different students by then. I have my undergrad is in early elementary ed, and I have my master's degree in elementary ed, Leader Corps. And right now, since I haven't taught in the classroom for the last 3 years, I am needing to keep my license current, and so I'm here getting my hours in so I can make sure I have my license so I can go back to work when in a classroom when I need to. For the two questions that I felt like I needed to address, the first one here is, should grammar be taught in school? Why or why not? And I think that's important, especially because speaking is kind of a lost art, especially with younger kids. The social media context is very strong, and with short bursts and slang, and for people to really sound educated and professional, I guess more professional, and learning how to write thoughts completely and to be able to understand thoughts completely, I think grammar needs to be taught because it's just being lost through short bursts. And if kids don't understand how to write their thoughts completely, they may not be able to, as they get older, to be able to write thoughts completely and express themselves clearly. The other question was question number 3 down here. These inferior versions of English should not be allowed in the classroom. And I'm kind of neutral with that because they're not really inferior dialects of English or versions of English. I think inferior is maybe a bad word for it. Everyone has different ways they speak based on where they come from and how they interact with their family. There's lots of slang words that are being introduced to dictionaries. And when you talk to a professional setting, like my principal or other coworkers, you would speak very differently than if you would in a home setting with your family. They're not really inferior. They're just a way to connect differently to people. And especially if you're working with kids, they connect one way with their family and they connect another way with other people. And they're learning how to do that. They're learning how to separate ways. And I think if you're able to connect with them through the way they speak, you're able to be able to teach them better. And so I think inferior is really just a bad word for it. And it's being them allowed in the classroom. Is it a big deal? Is it not a big deal? I don't really follow really either way, but I think it's important that we just don't call them inferior. People connect differently with different groups of people. So that concludes my video here, and I'm looking forward to this semester. This will be very different since I've mainly worked with younger kids and mainly in math. So I'm looking forward to this. Thanks.